That's okay. So we can just keep language under check, for our mature audiences.
Right.
What's
So
up, Rick and Dave?
So I'm trying to. Let me get rid of my gum.
Yeah, good idea.
So I'm trying to like when I'm looking at my phone and shit, I'm reading the chat because I can't do it from the PC. So that's the only way I can comment in the chat through my phone.
Gotcha. Yeah, it'd be in your best interest. 2021 resolution. It'd be new computer or secondary display.
Well, I think. Oh yeah, I guess you could do it that way.
A little over 4 hours until this miserable year is over. Yeah, I agree. And then we're just going to be into what I would imagine is a couple of miserable months into 2021, probably. Gah. I hope not.
Just do split screen. I can turn my phone off.
Yes. Please silence all of your electronic devices prior to takeoff. Happy New Year, David. Mr.
Happy
Thomas.
New Year to you.
It's getting close.
Happy New Year.
So I was thinking about it.
You. That's my Marilyn Monroe.
Mike Edge. I almost said happy birthday, Mike. Oh man, that's how tonight's gonna be, I guess. Oh my god. Right. So Bob said the difference between 2020 and 2021 will be 2021 will be old enough to drink.
It'll be new bottles to drink because the old ones are gone.
That's a very dad joke. Hey, sweetheart. Happy New Year. Mr. Helmer in the house. Happy New Year to you too, sir. David Black says, any drinks? Okay, David, right? So to not have to get up during the show, I just brought the bottle to my desk.
What is that? Is that the rum?
Yeah, this stuff is
I thought you had bamboo.
So good. No, I haven't found that yet. Or it's not that I haven't found it. I guess I would have to go
you gotta
looking for it to find it.
Right. Right. You don't drink much rum, do you?
No, I don't. More bourbon. Festive Mirrorless Minutes crew. It is. Look, this is how festive I am.
There you go.
I got a Happy New Year hat, but it doesn't really fit over my headphones. So
right.
It's the thought that counts. I could just put it on my mic, but alas, it's just going to have to sit off to the side. But it's funny. Before the show, talking about getting drinks around and all that, David Black, I decided that it makes more sense to just bring the bottle in here. I have no idea how long this show will be going on, and it'll definitely go longer than this glass will. So I don't want to have to go back and forth, because I think probably about the third or fourth time going back and forth, I might have a little bit of wobble and wave to my walk going back to the bar back there. So he says they're having champagne. I thought about a bottle of champagne, but it's just me here. I'm not going to start my kids drinking at the young age. So, of course, Jason wants to know if your battery's going to last the whole show tonight. Who knows? Actually, Jerry has a workaround for that.
That's right.
Shelly's calling me out because before the show, I was talking with her and told her I was thinking about just putting on pajamas and just dressing for success from the waist up, or dressing for the show from the waist up. But I decided not to. Oh, we got Liana on the show. Coffee. I'm okay. Tired. Okay. That's like a drunk response. I have a hard time believing it's coffee, but
what's in that coffee?
Right. It's vodka infused with coffee coloring.
That's right.
All right. So here we are, you guys. We are actually, I guess, doing the show now. It is past 8:00 and we're doing episode number 152 of Mirrorless Minutes. This is the 2020 sucked episode.
That's right.
It
That's
didn't
right.
totally suck. I mean, I'm not going to say it
Nah.
was a total wash, but it just isn't. It's not what I had planned. It's not what I knew it could have been. But
Right,
we
for
made
sure.
do with what we had.
Yep. I mean, a lot of traveling didn't get done like we had planned.
Right. Oh my God.
Some workshops didn't get done that we had planned. Other than that, I still shot a lot, you know.
Yeah. It's funny. So before the show today, we were talking about that. Jerry gave me a call and he was talking about getting photos around for the show. And he said, man, I didn't really do any landscape photography this year at all. And it's funny because he shifted and did a ton of like portrait work and model work and stuff like that, which is ironic given that this year was the year everybody's supposed to be socially distant, but he's working with like a single person. So it's not like he's in a group, but it's kind of cool that you were shooting people when nobody was allowed to be around people. You know what I mean? It's just, it's good to be able to see people in things. Hey,
I mean, it
my
kind of
mom
worked
made
out.
it.
Oh, Debbie. It kind of worked out for the better, I think, man. Just because, you know, we would go places and there would be nobody there. So,
Yeah, totally.
I mean, we were all over this side of the state and we didn't have to worry about crowds too much. So,
Well, heck, I don't remember what month it was. Maybe it was April. I met up with Shelly in Grand Rapids and we went downtown to shoot in the evening. And it was a ghost town, hardly any cars, no people. And this was, you know, when you would normally expect it to honestly be like bumper to bumper. So that was a perk, I guess. You know, you got to see things in a way that you don't normally get to see them, or shoot them in a way you can't normally shoot them, which is a little irritating if you're going to a busy city and you're there like in the sunset evening time and you want to get those light trails of cars going by.
right.
And there's no cars. It was like shooting the cover photo for The Walking Dead or something. It was kind of nuts.
Right. You know, the other bummer for me was like there was a lot of places not open. Like I like to go inside places.
Yeah.
You know, I'll take a model. Let's go in here and shoot. Well, I mean, I've done photo shoots in Menards before, you know what I mean? And
right.
And nothing's open. So like, what do? You just, everything's just stuck to what's outside.
Yeah. Nothing was open. Or if you went in, you're not going to want to take a pretty model in some place and
with a mask
on, you know, I mean, it's just, it was such a bizarre year, but I think we all kind of made do with what we had.
Oh, for sure.
You know, okay. So you and I ran out a couple of times to little places and shot, you know, during lockdown. And it was nice because again, you kind of got that empty small town feeling. And that was really fun. I really enjoyed doing that.
Right.
But, you know, I'm just kind of curious, you know, if the vaccine kind of gets rolled out wide scale, I just want to know the time frame for that and when we can expect some normalcy in 2021.
Well, that's the thing too. Like, just because the vaccine's out, don't mean people are going to take it.
Yeah.
Unless they force you to take it. Because I know more people that said they're not taking it than I do that said they're going to.
Yeah.
So at what point do they force you to start taking it? You know what I mean? Because they got to recoup their money. So.
Well, there's not a vaccine in the country that's been mandated or forced. You know, it's kind of part of America. You know, you're not forced into it. But I have a feeling you could run into something. I really see this happening. You know, if I want to jump on a plane and fly to New Mexico to shoot, I might not be able to get on that plane without a card that says I've had both rounds of the vaccine. Hey, I popped up Ted's post up here just really quick because good point for those of you watching. Don't forget, switch over your metadata. The clock in your camera may need to be moved forward, you know, depending on your camera, but your copyright should be updated too if you do exports out of Lightroom and things like that. So thanks for bringing that up, Ted. Shh, don't say anything, Jerry.
Oh, I didn't know you were done talking.
Yeah.
I usually got to interrupt you.
Yeah. Jump in, say, stop talking.
So like back to the vaccine, what you were talking about, I think another thing that we might see is the schools might start saying they're required for the students to take the vaccine before they can come in.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, I'm all about just wanting to whatever I got to do to get back to. I miss travel. I mean, I'm used to a couple of trips a year. I had one big one, with my kids. But 2021, I've already got plans for a couple of big adventures. So this stuff needs to get handled. The photographers are getting restless.
Yeah, I mean, the only downside is traveling and nothing's open.
I know. Well, yeah. I mean, my trip out west, we were pretty limited on
Right.
a lot of things. It made finding hotels challenging a little bit. Most of them were opened, but with limited capacity. And I was traveling with kids, and you kind of want to be able to have a place with a swimming pool, as a way to unwind after all the crap I put them through during the day taking photos.
Right.
And the only place we only found one hotel open the entire time, and that was in Salt Lake. And they did it in like time slots. So they would allow no more than, I don't remember if it was 6 or 8 people in the pool area at a time.
Right.
So you had to book a time slot. So lucky for us, nobody had booked like the last couple of time slots of the night we arrived. So we spent like 2.5 hours just hanging out in the pool.
Right. I don't even need a hotel really. I mean, I'll sleep in a vehicle, if I'm out on a photography trip.
Yeah.
But my thing is like if you go to cities or you go to certain places and there's some iconic locations you might want to visit.
Oh, yeah.
And they're closed. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, we lucked out with that too. I mean, a big part of our trip out west was that, the national parks, there was a lot of uncertainty, and a lot of the national parks had been closed, and then we're doing these like incremental openings where they'd open a portion of the national park. And we really lucked out in that the parks we were going to were open. And what was kind of cool, I mean, I sound like a cheapskate or whatever, but we didn't pay to get into a single national park. There were no, booths at the entrances to the parks that were manned at any point in time. So that was kind of nice. Saved a little bit of money on the trip, not having to pay for Arches, Zion, Grand Teton. I don't even remember that there was any kind of a booth to pay to get into Grand Teton. Seemed like the whole area was just wide open, but everywhere we went, we kind of lucked out with that. So that was nice.
Nice. I got New Mexico on my list, Roswell.
Yeah.
And
I know we talked about it.
Like I don't want to go there, and I can't go souvenir shopping for alien trinkets. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, we'll see. Hopefully next year it'll be better.
That's really what I'm hoping for. I've got big plans for next year. So
you guys hurry up and go take that vaccine so we can go do shit.
I will. As soon as I can get it, man. I'm on it for sure. I'm going to do whatever I need to do to ensure getting my life back to something normal. And travel's a big part of that.
Yep.
So Bob mentions that there's a few don't have to pay at Smokies. Yeah, that's true. I remember rolling through the Smokies. And it's definitely not paid. I don't think Grand Teton is either. I know Yellowstone, I'm assuming, is. I didn't go into Yellowstone. When I saw what the traffic looked like going into Yellowstone, decided that I was just going to adventure around, the Jackson area and just do my own thing. So
you've been to the Smokies, right? You guys hung out down there, right?
Yep.
How would you compare that to out west? What's the big difference?
Okay, so it's like comparing Grand Rapids to New York City.
Is it that big of a difference?
I think so. I mean, to me, the Smokies are fun. It's beautiful. Lots of trails and running water, and it's nice. It's super crowded. It's the most visited national park in the country, for one. So it's always busy, like busy. But the scale of things, I love the mountains, and the Smoky Mountains aren't mountains. They're what would be foothills anywhere else in the country.
Like probably like the Black Hills.
Never been to the Dakotas, so that's next year. That's next summer. COVID vaccine or not, that's where I'm headed. But Yeah, so I don't know how those compare, but I'm assuming it's probably similar.
Right.
There's just nothing like seeing mountains off in the distance and
That makes sense. Yeah.
seeing them
And it
in the
takes 3
distance.
hours to get there.
It takes you forever to get there, and you're like, oh my god, these things are just gigantic.
Right. Right.
So David Black has been to Roswell, and he's telling you the cafe in Roswell
See, that's what I'm saying,
is
man.
a must.
If you're gonna go to Roswell, you gotta go for the full experience.
Right. Yeah, I'm kind of curious, what is in and around.
I don't
that
think there's
region.
nothing really there. Just a few
Yeah.
little gift shops and.
Right.
But I mean, dude, I
just wide
watched
open spaces. I mean,
right. I've watched so many documentaries on Roswell and the alien or the spaceship crash and
yeah.
all
So
that
is this
shit.
a photography trip or just a I've always wanted to go there trip?
Both. You know what I mean? I'm going to document everywhere I go. So
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, I'll make some cool images out of the trip.
Yeah. Oh, I don't doubt it one bit. It'd be a lot of fun to get out that way.
Right. Right.
Yeah. I've got a map up here to my side. There's a lot of empty spaces for me to drop pins.
I know. I got to get one of those. I just use my Google Maps on my phone and mark everything.
Yep. Yeah. I've got that. I've got my I've been doing that more and more. If I see a spot, I'll open up Google Maps and I have a list of saved locations.
That way you can get back to it.
Yeah, so I can get back to it. And then just the other week, I was driving around outside of Grand Rapids with Shelly, just out in the country, and we found this spot that you're up high and it's just wide open and you can see for miles. And it faces west where it's the most open. And I thought, man, this is going to be a good spot maybe when storm season rolls around.
You see the city?
What's that? No, you can't see the city. It's all countryside, rolling farmland. And I just thought, I just made a spot, on Google Maps, dropped a pin and made a new list and just called it storm locations.
There's a hill up there where you can see all of downtown.
Yeah.
From above, and you see.
Yeah, I need to find that.
I know. I forgot what it's called, like Loot Hill or some shit like that. I don't know.
Ooh, Bob got a new job and much less PTO. That's a bummer. So I know you'll be taking advantage of the time you do have wisely, I'm sure. I know how that is. I don't have the vacation time that I once had, the PTO time. So still got a few weeks worth. So that's good. Let me see. Bob went from 6 weeks to 3.5. Yeah, that sucks.
Yes, sir. I think I get 5 next year.
So Larry's asking, which of the parks are the best out west? I've only visited a handful, so I really can't say. I mean, I've been to Arches and Zion. I've been to Grand Teton, Grand Canyon. I mean, just in my experience, I loved the whole area around the Tetons. And I don't think that it was because it was my most recent trip. It's just, I love mountains. I love the greenery, the trees, and just the landscape was really cool. And yeah, I'm a mountain person. But
so
yeah.
you never been to the Badlands then, right? So
no.
But you've been to Arches, and that's kind of, I guess you could say it's dry and there's no green around.
Oh hell no. Not down that part of Utah.
And that's how South Dakota is. The Badlands are like that. There's not much green there, but
I'll find out. That's probably my first trip next year if Iceland doesn't come before it, but
right.
That's my goal. Get that Bronco, buddy, and drive to the Badlands.
I'm in on that one. We went to the heck is the name of that place?
Devil's Tower in Wyoming.
Yeah, we went there. We went to it's Sioux Falls. We went to Sioux Falls.
Okay.
Then we hit the Badlands. Then we hit the Black Hills, Rushmore, then Devil's Tower.
Yeah.
And Devil's Tower that's really cool, man. It was pouring rain, so I didn't get to enjoy it as much as I would have liked to.
Yeah.
So one of these days I want to go back there again when I can actually get out and walk around and enjoy it a little better.
So I guess to kind of circle back around to Larry's question about which parks are the best out west, I didn't really give you like a solid answer. So in my opinion, just from the ones that I visited, again, I said I like Grand Teton the best just because I prefer that kind of environment. Lots of green, running water, Big trees, animals, lots of animals. But as far as like an ease of access national park, I don't feel like there was anything as cool as Arches that I've been to yet. Arches was just everything is it's like a drive-through experience. I mean, you don't have to get out of the car and hike far to see just amazing scenery. You know, I mean, everything is so big. The scale of things is kind of comical. You know, there's a feature there called the Organ, and it's just this big rock has just been pushed up. I mean, it looks like it's been pushed up out of the desert floor, but I'm sure everything around it eroded away, I guess, to create it. I'm not sure, but regardless, if you see photographs of it, it just looks like this big rock thing. But I've walked up to it and standing at the base of it, and I have pictures that I took from far away where you can see there are other people standing at the base of it, and they look tiny. But most of the pictures, when you see them, you don't get a sense of how big it is until you're there. And the cool thing is that it's just right off the road, and a lot of things there are easy to access.
Right. I definitely want to do Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, it's on my list for sure.
The redwoods. You didn't get to go to Muir Woods, did you?
Nope. I've not seen a redwood yet.
That was pretty incredible.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, one of the excursions we did in Whistler with Olympus, we went riding 4-wheelers up into the mountains, and those were the biggest trees I had ever seen. And I know that they're nothing like redwoods, but these were just massive pine trees, just the biggest things I've ever seen, you know, and I know that they're small compared to a redwood. So I'd love to get.
And there's a ton of redwoods along the coast up there, man.
Tons. Yeah. Yeah. It's not just a California thing.
I'm telling you, man, we got to go to the spot where they captured Bigfoot in that video, walking through the fucking woods.
Jerry doesn't want to take pictures. He wants to go see aliens and Bigfoot. You know, he's going to start his own workshop tour of the supernatural. Right. Jerry's supernatural bonanza or something. Going on Bigfoot tours. Right. So I'm going to talk about a couple of different things. So one of them is I just kind of want to talk about the keyboard that we were giving away. It's sitting in my room over. I can never do this over there. Oh my God. Looking in the camera and everything's backwards is just a mess. But anyways, we really didn't get a ton of entries. So those of you who did enter, good for you.
Your chances were good.
They were super good. So I'm just going to do like just a quick little image share of a couple of those, and then we'll just say who got it. Although I have to hide my little sidebar on my preview window because it gives away who the winner was. So let me just share this really quick. And again, this was just a couple of the people that entered. Oh my gosh, I've got so much stuff on my screen I can't see it all. There we go.
Nice. Where is that? Is that Mark?
That's Mark. Yeah. So Mark really wanted that keyboard super bad. And this is at Dead Horse Point, you know, which is just a state park in Utah. And I say just a state park, but amazing. It's like a little Grand Canyon. So it was cool to see Mark enter the contest and share something that
who's sitting on that ledge?
Probably you'd have to ask Mark, but I'm going to guess it might have been somebody from our workshop that we ran. Although I don't recognize the jacket, so maybe it was just another tourist.
Good insurance,
right? No kidding. Well, at least they weren't standing up with their back to the gorge taking a selfie, because we know how those end. This next picture is by Travis Stevens, and I know this spot. He's in Jackson, and that overpass isn't too awfully far from where I used to go into the office to work, but that doesn't seem to happen anymore. The next photo is actually our winner. So, and just a little bit of background on how the winner was selected. I downloaded all the people's images. I was going to share them all, but I don't want to take up a ton of time sharing everything. So I dumped them all into a folder, and had it like in list view. So, they went from top to bottom and used a random number generator to generate the number. And then wherever that person fell or wherever that number landed on the list, from top to bottom, that was how I selected the winner. I mean, it's pretty random. So it worked out really good. The person who won is Larry Chesno. And I think he guessed you were 41. So for those who don't know or don't remember, I like the picture. It's just kind of how I felt all day. So the way to win was just to submit a picture and then just give us your best guess at Jerry's age. And Larry said 41. And you're how old? How old, Jerry?
41.
41. That's what I thought. So
hit it right on the head.
So Larry, I think I saw you in the chat. I did. Yeah, you're the one that asked which ones are the best out west. So you just have to get a hold of me on Facebook or you know how to, I know you'll be able to get a hold of me. I'm not too hard to find. Just give me your shipping information and I'll get that keyboard packaged up and sent out to you. It's a killer keyboard. It really is. I hate to see it go, but I'm kind of hooked on these clicky keyboards now. Thanks to my kids. Those darn gamer kids. So, you want to talk about, do you want to do image share first, Jerry? Or do you want to talk a little bit about, like your highs and lows from this year, like a highlight and then a low light as far as 2021 are concerned?
Highlight? I don't know, man. I did a lot of shooting. I mean, as long as I'm shooting, I'm happy.
Yeah.
I can't say that there's anything that, I mean, I guess the trip to Fisher Body was pretty fun.
Mm-hmm.
That was quite adventurous. So, I mean, that's probably the biggest place I explored this year.
Yeah.
That was what, 5-6 floors?
Yeah, I think Fisher's like 6 floors with the roof.
Yeah, that was pretty
something
fun.
like that.
I'll probably say that was probably my highlight of the year.
Yeah, that was super sweet.
And then the lows, I mean, just not being able to travel like we wanted to, man.
100% agreed.
I know we talked about the latter part of last year. We talked about a workshop in the fall out west for this year, and that we didn't even finish talking about it because we knew it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
And then I know you and Mark had something going on earlier in the year that didn't happen, and so I guess that's kind of a bummer that we didn't get to accomplish the things we wanted to.
Yeah.
But there's always next year, man. And like I was saying earlier, I think I'm gonna hit YouTube a little harder next year. I'm gonna start off with, and because since we're not doing as much traveling as we would like, that gives you more time to do other things. And
for sure,
maybe I'll concentrate more on some YouTube stuff and creating some content, some video content.
Yeah. What about gear? What about equipment? Any changes this year that were like exciting for you, or anything new that you learned with your gear, techniques that would be something you'd want to talk about or mention?
No, not really. I mean, it was fun to play with the Fuji and get to try that. And good camera. I liked it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same old for me, you know.
Yeah. So that was the GFX 50S, right? Or are you talking about your X100V?
Both of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're new to the show, Jerry, took a GFX 50S for a spin for a couple of weeks.
Well,
and then ended up jumping in, picking up the X100V kind of as a tester just to see what you liked about Fuji or didn't like, or whether it was going to be something you'd use or not. Rolled with that for a few weeks. That was cool.
Yep. Good camera.
For sure. I think for me, I think again, I'm pretty much spot on with you as far as the low point, is the lack of travel, but the lack of travel as far as how it relates to workshops. I really wanted to jump wholeheartedly into workshops in 2020 and it just fell apart. Right. I was supposed to take a trip to Iceland that I've complained about probably on every damn episode we've done this year, but that obviously got canceled. And the trip to Iceland was a couple of things bundled into one. I mean, number one, it was a trip with my kids to take them out of the country to see something that is just so far removed from anything they've ever seen. And then the other part of it was photography for myself. I've been wanting to go to Iceland forever. I mean, early days of photography, I wanted to go. And the third thing about going to Iceland was because it was a scouting trip as much as it was anything else. I wanted to be able to visit enough of Iceland to know how to put together like a 4-day workshop in Iceland. And it's been my dream for years, about 4 years, 5 years now, to put together a workshop in Iceland. And all of that it fell apart. It's actually on, well, I don't have my Post-it notes here, my little scratch pad, but it's on my list to call Iceland Air over the next couple of days and figure out what I can do with my travel credit with them to push it further out. But that was my big downer, I think, was the travel and how it related to me being able to run workshops, because I love workshops. I love being around people who are excited to be in a new location, who are excited to learn something that they don't know how to do. And just sharing those moments with people. There's just really nothing like it. So that was my low. What's that?
I said the Z-Man, Jeff.
Oh, yeah.
Jeff gets excited, man. I like hanging out with Jeff, man.
Jeff makes he's like the perfect example of why I want to teach a workshop. I mean, I've had 1 or 2 people in the past aside from Jeff, but Jeff's enthusiasm and excitement, every time you show him something, he's just like, you see the light bulb go off, and then he's like, I'm going to go try this. And then he runs, and then he comes back. He's like, check this out. Now, what if I do this? And he's just like on fire. And I'm like, this is why I do this. So yeah, the low for sure was no travel. The highlight was the travel that I did get to do. I took the trip out west with my kids, and that was a big deal. It was kind of a long trip. Word of advice.
That was long.
10 days traveling with family it's one thing if you flew to one location and stayed for 10 days. But flying to a location and then renting an SUV and then spending 10 days driving around to like 6 states, I found that the limit of my kids' patience for something like that is probably 3 days. And I pushed it about a week too long, but nobody killed each other. We all have good memories from it. So that was great. So, again, the big highlight was being able to do that with my boys and see things that I've never seen. I'd never been to the Tetons before. I'd never been to Nevada. So that was just fun to see those things. And I think the other highlight as far as travel goes as well is that, I visited the Thumb region of Michigan for the first time ever. I've lived here 47 years and had never made it over that way, and discovered that it's really a killer place to go for astrophotography in Michigan. Believe it or not, it's insanely dark.
Me and Alan went over there.
Yeah, it's amazing. And then the art barns that are over there, me and barns. So they're all these cool barns that are basically art installations that make for incredible.
I didn't get to see those.
They're cool. They're really cool.
Was that Port Austin? Where was that at? Out that way?
It's up in that region. Yes. Yep.
Right.
Yep, super cool. So I think that was my highlights. As far as gear and things like that go, everybody knows I've been doing a lot of shooting with the Sony gear, kind of dipping my toes into that, and had that.
Liking it?
Yeah, without a doubt. It fills a niche that other equipment doesn't for me. I think for astrophotography, it's definitely far superior to anything that I've used before. It misses a lot of features that I'm used to with my Olympus gear. That's for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If you could get live composite on that thing, dude. Oh my God.
Yeah. Like I said, it would have been nice if it wasn't JIP that bought the Olympus imaging, if it would have been Sony that would have bought it and started rolling that tech over into the full frame stuff, as well as, kind of giving the Micro Four Thirds stuff better sensors from Sony. That would have been a beautiful marriage. It would have been tough to beat that as a company.
So I got a question for you.
What was that?
Over this year, have you learned to start packing lighter?
That would be a no. I have not. Not at all.
I tried, man. I tried.
There's no way. I I've tried. I mean, I've honestly given it a shot where I go out with the camera and one lens. And I did that with you with the Fuji. You and I went like Fuji shooting in this little tiny town in West Michigan, and it was fun. But that was shooting a town, and not so
You were
much
also
like,
shooting a prime lens too, weren't you?
yeah,
Yeah, that's a little different versus something like a 20, 24 to 70 or something like that.
right. Yeah, I just can't do it, man. It's not how I roll. I feel like once I do that, I've just put handcuffs on my creativity.
Right.
I feel like it would be, like giving a painter, okay, you've got one brush and two colors. Make me a beautiful, image. They can make you something and you'd be like, wow, that's great, but it's not what they.
Or the dope ass painter will make a masterpiece. And then motherfuckers will be like, how the hell did he do that?
I suppose. Maybe the minimalist photographer or painter. How's it going, Mr. Edelman? Happy New Year to you,
Joe.
sir. And we will definitely be having a much better 2021.
That's
for sure.
We're going to try.
I need to jump back and ask Bob what he was trying to tell me. I know he was talking about my itinerary, I think, traveling with my kids in the Western U.S. If you want to jump into the chat, Bob, and kind of remind me of that. We had no problem with the schedule. It's just my kids had no idea, nor did I, about how much time would be spent in areas with no cell phone service.
Right.
And you try to take a 14-year-old and a 18-year-old driving in the middle of nowhere, and their phones don't get any service to do any of their preoccupying things. And they
how many times did you guys pull over? There was Wi-Fi so they could download stuff.
Every time we would stop for gas, it was usually someplace where there was, service. And I would tell them, all right, you guys, look, download movies, get your songs, get podcasts, whatever you need to do, get it now. We'll hang out here long enough for you to fill up. Meanwhile, I'm filling up on gas and getting water and snacks, and they're filling up on digital content. It's so weird, and it's a different generation. I felt a little bad because I was constantly looking out the window at things. I'm like, oh my God, look at this, you guys, look. And they're like, they turn and look and then straight back into their phone.
That's how I am with my kids in the car. When we'll be driving, I'll be like, "Yo, check that out!" And I look over and they got their headphones on and their faces are in their thing. They ain't even paying attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, luckily, Bob, we didn't spend all our time in the car, so that wasn't bad at all. We just had really just a few days of driving. All the rest was spent, numerous, like 3 days in Utah, I think 3 days in Wyoming, and then travel time in between those with a overnighter in Vegas. So it wasn't too bad. So let's see. Took 3 lenses last week and was freaking out. Too many options. Oh my gosh, you guys are killing me with this minimalist approach to photography.
Oh. That's the new way, brother. It's the new way.
Yeah, not for me. Not for me. I mean, it's just not how I work. I just can't do it. I'm not even gonna try.
Kolude yet.
Oh no, I'm not gonna. I mean, I spent almost an entire year just shooting primes. So I mean, there's that.
Primes are all right in the street.
Well, I wasn't shooting just street though. I mean, I was shooting what I shoot, which isn't usually street. So it was just an exercise, a practice, and I realized it's not my thing.
Bob said often he has 2 bodies with him.
He does, and he carries like EM1Xs.
So look, I shoot a lot with Dave Behrens.
Yeah.
Dave's backpack has to weigh 80 to 100 pounds.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
How is that comfortable? Who wants to watch? This ain't the military. This ain't boot camp. Who wants to run around town like that?
All right. So, you know what I tell people all the time? I tell people photography is about giving something and sacrifice. He just gives up degenerative disc disease and.
Right. And here's the thing, too. Guess how many times he pulls more than one of those lenses out of that bag?
Right.
Never.
Right.
Never.
But that's not me. That's that's Dave.
Right.
Like when I go somewhere, I cycle through 2 or 3 lenses in the same location. So like when Mark and I were on the beach in the UP shooting sunset on the first night we were there. I had 2 camera bodies and 2 sets of lenses with me, and I shot both cameras and got 2 completely different looks from the scene. So I guess it just depends on how you're going to utilize the stuff you got with you. I won't lie and say that I've never taken a bunch of stuff only to use one lens the whole time, because that's happened.
Right.
But for the most part, I generally cycle through unless I know when I'm looking at a scene that it's gonna work best at a single focal length. Like, okay, for example, if we go out to the pier shooting, like when storms are coming in, I always have I have an ultra wide angle lens, but I have, so if I have my EM1 with me, so I'm gonna have the 7-14 and I'm gonna have the 12-100. I have the 7-14 if I want something crazy wide to encompass north and south pier together. But then I have the 12-100 if I want to zoom in and just isolate one. So I just can't go out and get stuck in a situation where I knew I could have done something better, but I chose to just have like one lens.
Right on.
And I agree. I change lenses fast. I have to with that damn Sony camera. If you even talk about taking the lens off it just fills up with dirt and dust.
Right.
So I'm kind of like that. Except not necessarily 2 cameras, but just with the 2 lenses, telephoto and wide. That's how I try to do it. So Bob's saying that the 12-100 has dropped him down. Doesn't carry the 12-40 and 40-150. I agree totally with that. For me, for sure.
I mean, there's a lot. I had a 7-14. Back when I was shooting Nikon, I had a 10-12 or 7-12. I forgot whatever that Tokino was.
Mm-hmm.
I rarely shoot anything under 18 millimeters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, so hell, man.
It got to the point where I was like, you know what? My 12-40, my 28-75, I don't need nothing wider. You know what I mean? Unless we're in town and we're doing street stuff and you want to catch architecture or something like that. Like when we were at Fisher, it's cool for Fisher because you can capture a lot more.
Yep.
But for like lake stuff, 12 fine. 12 millimeters is fine, man.
Yeah. So when you were shooting Nikon, was that full frame or was that crop sensor?
That was APS-C.
APS-C. So was 10 millimeter really something like 14 or something?
It's 1 times 1.5.
Gotcha.
On Nikon.
Yeah. Well, hell, I mean, just the aspect ratio on that, being that it's wider than micro 4/3, then those ultra wides feel even wider. So, I mean, I can see how that 10 millimeter would be too much.
I think it was 11-16.
11-16. 11 millimeters is crazy wide.
And I always shot it at 16 because there was times when I thought 16 was too wide.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the 14 millimeter on full frame feels absurdly wide.
Like, I want to see my subject. I don't want my subject to be this big in my photograph, you know?
Right. For sure.
So, like, a lot of my lakeshore stuff is shot 40-150, 70-200.
Yep. In those situations where I use the ultra wide is that I have something tight in the foreground. And then, like, the background. So, like, the lakeshore, like, it would be driftwood in the foreground or a kid's toy on the beach or a life preserver on the pier, and then lighthouses and stuff being like tiny in the background. I get it. There's no way I would shoot lighthouses with the 7-14 or with the 14 mil on full frame because they look like toys in the distance.
Right.
All right, let's do an image share, dude. You got some stuff to share?
I sure do. Boom.
I'm getting low on the juice.
All right, tell me if you can see this.
Yes, sir.
Alrighty, this is our Fisher body adventure I was talking about.
I remember that day.
I posted this picture at a few places, and for some reason, people think somebody's hanging in front of the window when they see this photo. I don't know if they don't expand the image or what, but I'm like, no, that's definitely not somebody hanging. It's my nephew jumping off the steps. There was that doorway. There was a doorway right there. I just had him run and jump out of the doorway, and I caught him as he was coming down. This is shot with a Sony, right? Did I shoot Sony that day? Yeah, I did. Sony A7R2, 2875 Tamron. Handheld, post-processing Lightroom. That's pretty much about it with this one. You see that one?
Yes.
Okay. Detroit. This is neighborhood that's these houses are falling down and they're boarded up and everything's overgrown on the sidewalk and growing into the building and out of the building, and I just thought this was really cool looking.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember you jumped out of the truck and ran over there in the rain.
Right. Like, dude, I live for this type of stuff right here, man. This is shot with, I think this is your 14 millimeter.
Yeah. Yep.
Samyang.
Yep.
Broken on.
Samyang.
Sony A7R2 14 millimeter Samyang, which is a great lens, by the way.
Yeah, for as cheap as it is, good Lord.
Jessica, this is shot with Sony A7R2. I'm gonna say 28 to 75, 2.8 Tamron. Off-camera flash to the right. And I just basically used it for fill light, just to fill the shadows in her face.
Nice.
This was just a gate that we swung open, and I had to stand behind the gate. This is a little restaurant in town here. This is also shot 28 to 75, 2.8 Tamron on the Sony A7R2.
I love that. That's freaking cool.
Yeah, it's just a little restaurant or a little snack shack. And I just ride by here. It's not too far from my house. I ride by all the time, and once I noticed that they did the murals on the side of the building. I was like, "Yeah, that looks pretty cool." And the lights are on, I need to swing in there. So this day the sky was looking good, and I was like, "Let me swing in there and get this shot real quick." So I swung in and got this one. And
yeah, the mood on that's insane.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. This is one of my favorite pictures from the year, Kayla. I shared this one before on here, actually.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just something about the way she's looking at the camera. You know what I mean? Like
good connection.
Yeah, like this isn't no planned pose. She was just sitting there like that. And actually, I think I was dialing in my settings when I took this photo.
Mm-hmm.
So she's just sitting there. I'm like, hold still. Let me dial these settings in. And she's just looking at me like, come on, man, hurry up. And then this is one of my favorite pictures, man.
Nice.
And then
I know that house.
Yes, this is the day that you flew your little drone.
Yep.
Where is this at? Is this Eaton Rapids?
No, this is in between Eaton Rapids and Hastings.
Right. So just a little house me and Jamie ran through, and the floor was sketchy as hell, so we didn't go all the way in, but
yeah, you can see through that floor into the basement.
Yeah, so we were kind of standing in the kitchen on some beams, and
yeah, it's crazy.
But yeah, I like the way this one turned out. Remember, I ran back to get this shot because because we were outside, and I looked through the window, and I was like, "Oh shit, I didn't see that chair in there." So I turned around, and ran back in the house.
Yep.
And then I think this is my last one right here. This is one of those days me and Jared jump in the car at night and we just drive.
Nice.
Left or right? Right.
Oh yeah, that's the best game.
Left. And we do I could never get back to this place again.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's somewhere over by Holland. No, this one is not. This is by Ravenna, I think, or somewhere up that way in between Ravenna and Grant.
Okay. Nowhere. In the middle of nowhere.
Right. Either that or it's over in Holland, because we was in Holland this night too.
That's a big spread of distance there, Jerry.
Right. Oh, dude, we just drive, man, for hours, and
Nice.
we look for light, and I was like, "Yo, check this church out." So, I mean, it had the nice warm orange light in the front, and then the other light was cooler and blue, and I was like, "All right, I'm gonna jump over and pull over and get this shot." So
The separation of the orange in the doorway and the frame, like the entryway there. It's sick how separate the colors are.
Yep. Yo, dude, and this doesn't have a whole lot of editing done to it.
That's what even pushes it further over the top.
Right. Like, I mean, yeah, this turned out pretty good. I liked it.
Yeah, that's fire.
And I think that's it for my images for the day. And this is shot with Sony. Same thing, Sony A7R2. This was shot with 28 2.0.
Nice.
With the Black Pro Mist filter on it.
Sweet. Yep. No, that's so cool. Now you probably don't know off the top of your head like what the ISO was on that. Like if it's crazy high.
No, you know what? I didn't even bother to look at that. No, it's not. I'm gonna guess it's either 800 or 1,000.
Okay. Because I know you don't like to run around with a tripod, so I figure you're hand holding, and to get a fast enough shutter speed to get it sharp, you probably had to crank the ISO a bit. So
no, you know what? This was on a tripod.
No kidding.
Yeah. So this, if I'm not mistaken, it was. Hold on, I think it was 4 seconds or 10 seconds. It might have been 10 seconds.
Okay.
And I think I shot it at like f8, f5.6.
Yep.
And I think my ISO was around 1,000, I think.
Nice.
So, and that's it for some of my favorite images for the year.
Nice. Yeah, I'm going to bore the hell out of people with mine because if you follow me on Facebook, then you've already seen them, but they are my favorites. So I'm just going to stick with these. Let me get that queued up. There we go. I think I've got them. So, again, I apologize if you follow me on Facebook. You've already seen these probably, but if you don't, this is what they are. So again, I'm just trying to do these in order of, when things were taken throughout the year. So this was obviously out west on the trip with my kids. This is leaving Arches National Park on the first day we were there. We got into Moab relatively early in the day, so had time to just kind of rest and then run and get something to eat and then visit Arches towards sunset. So we just took plenty of time, and I waited specifically for it to get dark so that I could try to do something like this. There's a few spots in the park where you could get a decent light trail shot, and I knew that the exit from the park was probably going to be my best bet. So this is just pulling off on the side of the road near the entrance to the park on our way out, and then just setting up with the EM1X. And I think that this is the 12-100. I'm almost very certain that it's the 12-100, probably at 12 millimeters, and just using live composite. And I kind of had an idea of what this would turn out looking like for the most part. I mean, we had enough spacing in the clouds to where you'd be able to see movement. And I really was hoping that you'd get some stars to pop through. And I kind of lucked out with that. And you can see a few stars there. So it was pretty cool. And again, that was one of those times where I'm out shooting, the kids walk out, they look at, the scene below us, and then turn around, go back in the car and start playing games on their phone. And so this next shot was later in the trip, and
nice.
This is Moore Monroe. It's just one of the barns in Moore Monroe, near Jackson, Wyoming, in Grand Teton National Park. Probably, I'm gonna just wager a guess and say it's probably one of the most recognizable barns in the country.
I've seen it a couple times for sure.
Yeah, I mean it gets a lot of visitors. So this was our first morning there. I got up, asked the kids if they wanted to take off with me to explore in the morning, and I was just met with eye rolls and them rolling back over and going back to sleep. So I just jumped up and ran out to get out there for sunrise. And this was a little while after sunrise, obviously, but when I was there at sunrise, there were probably 6 or 7 photographers already there when I got there.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's beautiful, man. I mean, what do you expect?
Yeah, it was a stunning morning. I was happy to have, some dynamic skies. I
Oh,
was
for
I was
sure.
terrified I'd get out there and it'd just be blue skies all the time. And again, I don't know anything about the region, having never been there, so I don't know if blue skies are normal or cloudy skies are the norm. But I was happy with this, and just getting breaks in the clouds enough for the sun to come through was I was pretty much losing my shit at this point, because you could see the rays coming down through the haze in the distance, and I'm just like, oh my god, I can't believe it.
Yeah.
And this is with the EM1X and the 12 to 100 on again, and in the high res mode is how I was shooting this shot. So I did a lot of my shots when I was on this trip with the EM1X in high res mode. I just feel like you get more dynamic range out of the images. And this is zoomed in a little bit too. So 12 to 100. And I know I'm not at 12 millimeters on this. I'm probably somewhere around the 40 millimeter mark. I'm not too awfully far back from that barn, probably 100 feet or so, 150 feet. The next shot was taken also this year, and this was on a trip. My girlfriend Shelly and I decided to venture up to my favorite lighthouse in Michigan, Point Betsy. I love Point Betsy for a million reasons, and one of the reasons is the color of the water. But it was a turbulent day, and it was super overcast and rainy, and it was just nasty. And I've been wanting to do this shot or something very similar to it for a long time, and that just happened to be the day. There was enough movement in the water to where I could do a relatively short, long exposure and just kind of fog out the water on these breakwaters out there. So that's kind of what I did with this. So this is with the Sony A7 III actually, and the Tamron 17 to 28 with a 10 stop Nisi filter. And I think the exposure time is about 10 seconds. It's between 10 and 15. And yeah, I'm way too lazy to pull out EXIF data for all this right now. So, but you can trust me that it was between 10 and 15 seconds on this one. And again, so doing this, when I say I had been wanting to make this photo for a long time, I've been wanting to make specifically like this black and white, foggy water, the breakwaters, rock hard and stationary against all that movement.
So explain to the people how you get the fog on the opposite side of the barrier.
So what do you mean the opposite side of the barrier? Oh, like closest to the camera?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Because that's actually not the lake.
Right. Okay. Yeah. You're very observant. So what you're seeing is in the foreground, that series of, metal components there, just past those towards the ones that are obviously out in the water. That's where the lake is. And like Jerry said, the side of those objects closest to the viewer is actually where water is running over and spraying over and misting over. And the only way to get that is with a combination of things, either a crazy long exposure, so enough of the water flowing over it and spraying over it does that, or you need really turbulent water, which is what I had this day, and a relatively shorter exposure, which would be, again, this was 10 seconds versus, 30 or 40.
Yep.
Yeah, good catch on that. It's funny that you mentioned that, because that's not even, I never thought about the fact that on a normal day that really wouldn't look anything like that.
Right, yeah, because if I'm not, that's cement.
Yes.
On this side of those pillars is cement.
Yep. So the next shot, this was driving home one evening, and I had gotten a new lens for the Sony system. It's Viltrox 85 f1.8, and I got it knowing that I was shooting a lot more people this year, which is weird because I'm going to share pictures of people here in a minute, which is not my jam at all. Jerry's good at that. I am like not, but I knew I needed a lens, or felt like I could use a good portrait lens to help with that. So anyways, being the outdoorsy landscape nature kind of guy, I took the 85 out and just decided I was just going to find something to shoot with that. And I was losing daylight really quick. And there was all this, I believe it's goldenrod. It's this yellow weed that grows everywhere, and sun was setting low, and I had already cycled through, using longer lenses. And I just love the bokeh that you get, with like an 85-1.8 or something like that. So I just kind of focused on the goldenrod in the foreground and just bokeh'd out the sun in the background. And this really has very little work done to it at all, believe it or not. The color is just kind of how everything worked out that night. It was that period of time over the summer when basically everything west of the Rockies was in a blaze of fire. So we had killer sunsets for a few weeks.
Right.
So that was during that period of time.
Have you ever seen those images that look like this, and then they show where they're focused on the sun instead of the foreground, and it's actually the Burger King sign?
Yes, it looks like a full moon in the background.
Yeah,
Yes.
dude, that shit's so funny, man.
I should actually do that as a joke.
That was great. I was like, holy cow. I would have never known that was the Burger King sign.
Look at the moon tonight. It's beautiful.
Right.
And we can get a Whopper there. This one, you were there that night, right, Jerry?
Yes, sir.
That crazy ass sunset. Oh my God.
Yep, that was wild.
Yeah, it was probably one of the most incredible sunsets I've ever seen in Michigan.
We had sunset and lightning at the same exact time.
It's bananas. It didn't even make sense. That night was just off the hook. So, again, kind of like one of my go-to spots in Michigan, if I know there's storms coming in from the west, is to hit the lake shore. I got burnt out on it for a while, so didn't really do too much of it. But this year I did at least make out 2 trips to the lake for this. And this was one of them with Jerry. And I'm not sure if Jason Helmer was out there that night or not, but I
think Jason left. I think Jason left to go towards South Haven, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
Remember we were talking with that kid who hung out with us. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's super fun. And this is one of the things I love about the Olympus cameras is being able to do things like this. So this is done with the live composite, and I was able to expose for the sunset. So that's frozen and locked in place, and that is my image. And then I just let it run until I got lightning off in the distance, and I just lucked out on this one because I had 1 or 2 other shots where the lightning was further to the left out of frame. And I didn't want to zoom out any wider because then you lose the little lighthouse at the end of this pier and everything just looks too small. So this is zoomed in with the 12-100, and I'm zoomed in probably at like 75 or 80 millimeters on this, just to bring that pier or that lighthouse closer to the viewer. And as far as settings for like live composite go, this probably ran for 20-30 minutes before I got this shot. So it was one hell of a sunset. I've got some amazing just sunset photos from that night as well. Yep. Oh, and Jason was there that night. He was on the south side of the channel at the other park.
Was he? I thought he was there with us.
I think for a minute, and then he took off maybe. But it was super cool. There's nothing like hanging out with friends and watching the storm come in and just everybody's screaming and yelling, "Oh my God, did you get that? Did you get that?" It's one of my favorite things ever for sure.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah, my mom's still watching. That's always exciting. So next photo, this was on kind of an out of the blue impromptu trip. Mark Miller got a hold of me and said, "Hey, I want to take off for a couple of days to the UP. I'm losing my mind. I just want to go shoot. Do you want to go?" I'm like, yeah, let's do this. So him and I rolled up to the UP for just a couple of days and visited some waterfalls and places we had never been before.
That's a cool one right there.
Thank you. It's a good one for me, a bad one for Mark, because if you're looking at the waterfall to the right-hand side of the waterfall, you can see this little waterfall. And right at the base of that, you can see where the stone kind of makes this platform. Mark was standing up there composing shots, and he had I think his 10-stop Nisi filter fell off his camera and shattered on the rocks right there. So it's kind of a bummer for him. But this is Okundakun Falls in the UP, and that was a fun trip. That was kind of the epitome of what a photography trip is for me. Mark and I went up there. We knew that there would be other photographers up there. There was talk of people we know being up there. Jason Helmer, one of them, he was up there also that weekend. But Mark and I had just crossed over the Mackinac Bridge, and we were stopping at the Cut River Bridge, and I'm flying my drone, and up comes somebody walking up the path, and they're like, "Hey, Jamie, how's it going?" And I'm like, "Hey, how's it going? Holy cow, there's somebody I know up here." and we ran into a couple of people. I think it was Tim Bonnet and Justin Stubleski. And so we saw them, and then like a day and a half later, like on the other side of the UP, like a couple 100 miles away in the middle of nowhere, they're standing on the side of the road taking pictures of an aspen grove. And it was just cool, fun experience. This is shot with the OMD EM1X. And wait, I take that back. Sorry. This was shot with the Sony A7 III, and this is with the Tamron 28-75. And this has a Nisi 6-stop and a Nisi graduated ND, the medium graduated ND. So the ND filter, obviously to slow things down, the graduated to help balance out the exposure of the sky so that I didn't have that completely blown out, so we could see at least some structure in the clouds. And the exposure time on this isn't very long. I think it's like about 5 or 6 seconds. And this one, sorry, I'm talking long and going over these, but they were my highlights of the year, I guess. So this is also from that same trip with Mark in the UP, and this is at Bond Falls. So behind the viewer is Bond Falls, which is it's a really big and impressive waterfall. I was kind of stunned at how big it was. But I wasn't feeling it. I grabbed a couple of photos of it and it was cool. It was covered in all this like mist and haze and it was beautiful, but I just knew I wanted to shoot something different. So I turned around and walked away from where the waterfalls were at. And there's this little section of land that kind of is a peninsula. So you got water coming around from the left and water coming around from the right, and they converge at the point of this little piece of land. And that's where this shot is. So I set up the OMD EM1X with the 12-100 on it, and I set it in high res mode and no filters. I didn't put any filters on, but I did stop down. So I was at like F8 and the base ISO, and I did everything I could do to stretch out the exposure time as long as possible. And then when you do a high res mode, you're basically quadrupling the length of time for that exposure to happen. So then this ended up being like a 30-second exposure to get that. And again, like I said earlier, with the OMD cameras, I feel like if you do the high res mode, you get a lot more, not just detail in the shots because it's, an 80 megapixel raw, but you get more dynamic range. So I was able to pull the shadows out in the woods in the background a little bit better. If I'd have been smart, I would have thrown a graduated ND on here just to tone down that blown out sky, but I'm still happy with it. It was really fun. Almost done. Another trip with Mark Miller. He got a hold of me and asked me if I wanted to shoot one weekend. And I said, yeah, let's go shoot sunrise at Lake Michigan, which it's funny because I've had several people say, you mean sunset? And I'm like, nope, actually, this is sunrise. Something that people don't think to do or forget to do or aren't even aware of doing is that if you're shooting a sunrise or a sunset and you're shooting into it, it pays to sometimes just turn around and look the other direction.
Yep.
And that was my hope for this morning. And it worked out so much better than I could have ever freaking imagined. It was cold and just crappy, but it was clear for the most part behind us in the east when the sun was rising. And as it got up over the horizon, it just lit the distance up in this crazy pinks and purples and oranges. And so this is a pano, and this is shot with the A7 III again, and it's shot with the Tamron 28-75, and it's not at the widest at 28. It's zoomed in a little bit, so it's probably at like 50 millimeter, but it's portrait orientation shots that are bracketed. So it's 6 frames wide, or maybe it's 5. I think it's 5 frames wide, but they're bracketed shots. So basically comes out to 15 shots. I'm sorry, I'm completely wrong. It is 6 shots wide. So it's 18 frames merged together into a pano, and all the bracketed shots are merged to HDR. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. Last one.
There it is.
One. And that's my new jam. So the barn that I love to shoot fell when I was in Wyoming shooting a different barn. I think it was mad I was cheating on it. So it collapsed. And I found this just on a random country drive, and it's literally like 2.5 miles from my home. So it's easy to get to. And I've been out there a few times, and just happened to post on Facebook about it, talking about wanting to get a hold of the owners. And it just so happens that the school that my youngest used to attend, their secretary saw that post. I'm friends with her on Facebook. And she said, "Oh, I know whose truck that is. That's my son-in-law's truck." So she put me in touch with him. And I chatted him up and shared with him the picture, and asked for permission to go shoot it and for forgiveness for actually having already gone out there several times to shoot it. And he's totally cool with it. I sent him an 8x10. He should probably get that over the next day or so. And he gave me permission to go out whenever I want. And so now I'm just going to start creating a series of images out there. And I'm super pumped on it. And again, another Sony shot. And this is with the Tamron 17-28 on this one as well. And that's it for those.
Yeah.
Lots of pictures. I know it was 10 pictures. And you want me to share my people photos, or you want to pass on that and talk about something for a bit?
No, share what you got. Because we still have to share the other people's photos too.
Yes, we do. So let me hurry up and get through mine real quick here.
Yeah, go through your stuff, man. I ain't got to be nowhere.
All right. Okay, I'll be honest. There's a little bit of me that's worried that if I take too long, I'll have too much of a buzz by the end of the show.
Ain't no wrong with that.
And I don't know what I'll be sharing or talking about. Hold on, I got to add 2 more pictures to this really quick. That one and that one. Yeah, so again, everybody just be kind and realize that I'm not a people shooter.
So what you need to do is you need to get a cutout of Prince. And
like
like a life-size cutout of Prince, which is really like 4'8".
You're talking about like Prince, like legit.
Yeah, the
Prince.
singer. Yeah,
okay, that's what I thought.
And then put that shit behind you, and then get a fog machine and blow some fog back there. It looks like he's coming out of the back of the stage.
Who was the dude that did the Dr. Pepper commercials? Little
C's. What was that dude's name? Little Sweets.
Yeah, Little Sweet. I need him to come sliding across my desk.
Right.
All right, so I'll do a quick share here. I won't spend as much time talking about these. It's just a little too lengthy. All righty. So
I like Drew.
Yeah, she's fun to shoot. We so this is Shelly says it's a party. It's getting to be. So this is Drew, and so Shelly, who I just popped up on the screen, who is also my my girlfriend. This is one of her models. She's known Drew since Drew was a kid, and I think shot her senior portraits. And Shelly just said, "Hey, let's do a model shoot. I know some people we can loop in," and she called up Drew. So we met Drew up where she lives, or used to live, I think, near Mount Pleasant, Michigan, one day. And I thought, I don't know what I'm doing. Why am I going to shoot portraits of people? But I gave it a shot. So went up there and I have a Godox 8200, and I can't remember the name of the softbox. It's a Glow something, but it's just a small, like 32-inch collapsible beauty dish. And I set that up. I set that up with my EM1X, and this is with the EM1X and the 45-1.2 wide open on the one at 1.2, and then filling in with that Godox 8200. And you can see where the light is. It's top left. You can see the catch light in her eye and tell where that is. Post processing. Nice. What's that?
So that's a nice shot.
I appreciate that. Thank you, sir. It's I was happy with it right out of the camera, but I just threw it into Nick's Analog Effects to throw in a light leak on it. I just kind of experimenting with, just kind of changing things up a little bit. So that's what that is. These aren't necessarily in any specific order either. So this one is a significant photo to me, again, because it's, my kids at Arches National Park on that first night there. And you can see my oldest son in the background has his phone out, but I was happy that he wasn't
in the car with his phone out.
Well, he wasn't doing BS on his phone. He was actually like sharing pictures and stuff from there. So I was pretty stoked to see that because he's not like a huge social media person. He doesn't share and post and do all that stuff constantly, but he was taking pictures and showing them to people. So I was pretty hyped on that. Yeah, you know, I'm a person too. So, and I have to take a selfie every once in a while.
Yes, sir.
And this was on that same morning that the other photo was shot out here at Mormon Row. And this was actually, I don't know. I wanted a photo that kind of represented how I felt when I was there. And this kind of was that to me, the way this was set up. Just every corner I turned, I felt like I discovered something that was just so amazing that I wanted everybody I know to be there. It just, very few places have I been where I just was constantly in my head thinking, you know, I need to bring people here. I need to bring people here. So this was just like a discovery photo. I think, you know, it's just kind of what I was trying to represent there. And this was this was with the Olympus. So this was the OMD EM1X and the 7-14 on, and probably not at 7 millimeters, but at 14 millimeters on this. This is from our summer trip. So Jerry talked about going to Fisher Body Plant, and this was on that day. I can't remember the name of
Lincoln Street.
Yeah, it's the Lincoln Street Art Park. And I don't know if that's Lincoln Street or what it is, but that's where we were at. It's a really cool area in Detroit. Lots of funky art and graffiti and sculptures and things like that. But we heard a train coming, and I just told Jerry, I said, get out there and get a picture of that. I want to get a picture of you taking a picture. So
see Jerry's backpack. Take note. It's small. There's one lens in there.
Yep. And Jerry wouldn't have been able to get this shot if he had only just the lens he has on his camera. So I had a couple of lenses with me. So this was shot with the that Viltrox 85 1.8. And I just love the way it just kind of blows the background completely apart. There's nothing like.
That's actually pretty good for as far away from the camera as I was.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, because the further you get away, the subject gets away, the more everything beyond him gets in focus. So it's my girlfriend Shelly.
That's a cool shot.
We somebody that we follow on Instagram had shared a picture, and Shelly said, "You got to see this spot in downtown Grand Rapids." It was another photographer's name's Tim Largent, and he found this spot and photographed it with no person on the bench, and did a really cool composition, you know, where he kind of cloned out everything around it, so it just looked like a bench, a rainbow bench floating on the clouds. So we went there to see it, and I told Shelly, so this was shot from the second floor in a parking garage. And I told Shelly, I said, run back downstairs and sit on the bench.
That's cool. That's a cool spot.
So she sat down. I said, no, move your camera over. We got to see your camera in the shot. So we just posed a couple of shots and did that. And I think this is I don't even remember what I shot this with, so I'm not even going to guess. This is Fisher Body Plant in Detroit. So it was another. I had done a couple of trips there. Yep. And this is Velvet, another one of Shelly's models. We decided to do this fun little kind of a cosplay sort of thing. So we got a Harley Quinn outfit, and she dyed, you know, the ends of her hair to be like Harley Quinn, put on makeup, and we just went to several different spots in Detroit. But Fisher Body was where we finished up shooting at. So Fisher Body, for those who don't know, used to be an automotive plant, and it's been long since abandoned, but it's pretty much kind of a wide open thing. You can just walk right in. You don't have to jump any fences. You don't have to do anything hard, you know, difficult to get in. You just walk in. So that's what we did.
Unless you want to go above and beyond the first floor.
Indeed. If you want to go off the first floor, you're climbing over garbage and junk and climbing
some Indiana Jones shit.
Definitely. It's a trip to get up there. But this was again shooting Velvet, just a cosplay shoot, and I brought some Enola Gay smoke bombs, which are a blast to use because they crank out a lot of smoke. So that's what I did. Threw a smoke bomb in the background because we had light coming through those windows, and I've got a few other shots where the light coming in actually kind of forms like a beam. But this was just kind of, I think, my favorite one out of the shoot. Who dat? Who dat? So that's Jerry on the roof of the Fisher Body plant. And some people pack a bottle of water. Jerry's like, we're in the D. I'm packing Faygo in my backpack.
Yep. Faygo goes everywhere with me, man.
So we got up there on the roof, taking a break, and Jerry's sipping on his Faygo. And I'm like, all right, stick it out right towards the camera. And that's what that Samyang 14 millimeter, super wide. And it's a 2.8. So you get a little bit of background blur out of it. It was a fun shot to make. Jerry was pissed because he dropped his Faygo or it got shook up in his backpack. He opened it up and it like exploded for a second.
Right.
But it was a super fun trip.
Yeah, that was blast, man.
And then this is my nephew. So he got his first car this year. And I've always liked the big sedans, the big 7 Series BMWs, the bigger Mercedes. And when I saw he got that big 7 Series Beamer, I was like, all right, we're gonna have to do a photo shoot. So I got a hold of him. I was actually gonna go up and visit my sister, and he came home and I wasn't expecting him to be there. He just kind of showed up, and I had all my gear with me. I said, hey, look, it's just about sunset. Let's run out and do this photo shoot. So he was totally pumped for that. So we ran over to this parking garage and got up on the roof, and we had gorgeous sky in the background. It was just perfect. So it was fun to be able to make these photos for him with his car. No exterior, no off camera lighting or nothing. Obviously I didn't have any of that stuff with me. So, and this is, more Sony stuff. So this is Sony with the 28-75 on it. And I'm literally lying on the ground to get this shot, the low perspective shot.
Nice.
And it's funny that Seth drops in to the chat to say Happy New Year. And the next picture I have to share is of Seth. Isn't it ironic? Don't you think?
It's ironic.
So, put a post out that I wanted to go shoot the Comet Neowise one night. And Seth said, I'll go. And I hadn't shot with Seth since I don't remember when. And I'm like, yeah, let's do this. So he rolled out to my house, and I carpooled us up and met up with somebody else in the chat room, John Thomas. He was up there, and we got up there early. I mean, way earlier than necessary. I don't know why I drug us up there that early, but I did. And while we were waiting for it to get dark, we decided to shoot sunset. And I think Seth might have been set up doing a time lapse maybe at that point in time, but he was up in the bed of my truck, and I just thought it looked cool, with the moon up there and the wind turbine at sunset, and I'm down, outside of the truck, and he was all silhouetted. So just popped off a quick shot of him.
Yep. When Seth calls to go shoot, you got to go, because you never know when you'll shoot with him again.
Ain't that the truth? Yep. And then, so this is Shelly. This is my girlfriend. And we went out like the first snowfall that we'd had in forever here. So we drove up to Muskegon, up Jerry's neck of the woods, and went down to the lake shore and just shot everything covered in snow. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, it was just a good morning. I really don't.
I think Jerry was hungover that day. I think.
Yeah, we come over and you were in your bathrobe. I don't remember what we stopped by there for. If I was dropping something off or picking something up. Yeah, I was probably picking up the lens I might have on right now for this shot.
Yep.
And yeah, it's funny. So we stopped by Jerry's house for a minute and then rolled down to the lake shore just to see what was going on down there. And we got there and all the beach grass was covered in these little tufts of snow. So we jumped out and trudged out into it and took some photos. It was a lot of fun. And that's it for my people shots. So I will. We have lots of pictures that we're sharing.
That's right.
So I still have more to share, but they're not mine. They're not Jerry's. They're your guys's. So I just put out a post, I put it out the other day, and then I think I reminded people again, share. We want to put your stuff on the screen instead of just ours all the time. So I don't think my directions were clear because I linked to the post that I wanted people to share on, but everybody was commenting on all these different spots. So if I missed anybody, I apologize. But I think I got everything that was shared today. So I'll just do a quick image share. And it was fun. It was fun to see, what everybody else had been creating this year too. I like that.
For sure.
All right. So we're starting off with Bob Panick. And Bob, if you're watching still, I would love to know, where was this at?
That is cool.
It's gorgeous there. It's beautiful.
I could picture me standing there and getting attacked by a bear.
Right? I was thinking that or black flies. Like I've seen so many videos of like Alaska and stuff and how wicked the black flies are, but this place is just amazingly gorgeous. Twin Falls, Colorado.
Or you get attacked by pygmies.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, I guess maybe the next time through Colorado, I'll have to find this spot. It's amazing. I love it. So then the next shot was from Charles Butchart. So Charles shared this photo in the Jackson County photography page. So that's Jackson County, Michigan. And I dip in there every once in a while and I'll share the show that we're doing, or I'll share some photos. And I grew up in Jackson and was born there. So I feel obligated to maintain a little bit of.
Shout out to Chilangos.
Right. Chilangos in Jackson, definitely. So Bob says I need a 4x4 to get to that location in Colorado. I'll have that next year. I've got 4x4 now, but I'll have a more capable one next year. So
that's right.
So thank you to Charles for sharing this photo. I'm not sure where it was taken, but I miss that weather.
Yes, sir. Ooh, smoke.
Next shot's from Dave Bastador. Dave spent a lot of time this year photographing cars. He got really involved in the car scene in Jackson, Michigan and surrounding areas. And I've seen a lot of wild, cool photos that he shot this year, but this Challenger's sick. It's just rolling in smoke. That's something I haven't done a lot of, is car photography, and I think I want to learn more of that. So cool shot, Dave. I might have to.
So I got a little buddy that lives in Detroit, and he shoots car shows all the time. Every day, just tons of cars photos, man.
That'd be fun. I'd really like to know more about it.
It's a lot of stuff just like this. Like they hang out on the street and do where they block off the intersection and they're doing donuts and burning the tires up, and it's wild, man.
Yeah. Yep.
He keeps telling me, come over and shoot. We should go over there.
Nice. Then this next shot is, again, I think that this also was from someone in the Jackson County photography group as well. This is Dave Thompson. This is a wild looking Jeep.
Nice.
Yeah, it's sick. So obviously shooting in Detroit, because I can see the Renaissance Center in the background there. That's pretty sick. I'd be interested to hear what equipment he was using for this, as far as like what lens. If it was
looks like a fisheye.
Yeah, I was wondering if it's a fisheye or if it's just like a crazy ultra wide and he's just super close to the tire. Either way, I love these just wicked perspective shots like that when you're shooting cars.
Yeah,
and the color on it's sick. Yeah. I really like the vinyl wrap that's on this. It's definitely an attention getter.
Oh, for sure.
And our buddy John Thomas in the house here. I remember reading a little bit of the description of this. I don't have it all rememorized, but I know that John was taking advantage of the in-camera multiple exposure in one of his Olympus bodies. And that's a super fun feature to play with. I miss doing that. I should probably start doing that.
I've tried. I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, I've noticed too that it's an art form,
Well, I just can't figure out how to get the exposures the same.
Right.
I turn it on and snap a couple pictures. That's about it. I need to look into it. I got some cool ideas for that.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. There's a few people in the Olympus groups that are like freaking wizards at it. Peter Baumgarten's amazing with that. He'd definitely be a good resource to tap for sure. Holy cow, I'm getting out of control. All right. So the next one, this is from Laura Orton. Had a lot of feedback from people in the Jackson photography group. So it's pretty pumped to see those guys kind of jumping on board with sharing for the show. And I'm guessing this is maybe a new grandchild in the family or something, but it's definitely a very sweet, intimate moment there. It's
yeah, for sure.
It's always fun to remember what it was like when your own kids' hands were that small.
Right. Before they were like, put money in this hand.
Right. Yep. I need the latest iPhone. You need a job is what you need. So the next one's from Mark
Oh,
Lucas.
cool.
Yeah, I like this. I'm a big fan of wildlife shots where your perspective is like right down eye level, and he's eye level with this duck taking a drink, which again, I always want to know the backstory behind a photo. Like if was he in a boat and he was low? Was he lying on the ground? And just really interested in how these all work out. So
Really cool.
So Laura, I think this is Laura, if I remember from the last show, responding, baby been through heart surgery. That's definitely a powerful thing to hear, and hopefully everything is going well.
Yeah.
Mike Hedge, are you in Michigan for this shot, Mike? Where are you at for this? This is gorgeous. The sky is ridiculous in this shot.
That looks like
At Frankfurt.
Yep, Frankfurt.
Nice. Yeah, that sky is wicked. Nothing like a Lake Michigan sunset, if that's where this is at.
Yeah, I think that's Frankfurt.
Man, I miss that weather. And then this was shared by Paula Robinson, and I think Paula Robinson might have shared this in the Jackson photography group as well. There are some names I'm not familiar with. So Paula Robinson, I don't know. Laura, I don't know. Dave Thompson, I don't know. Charles Butcher, I don't know. So cool to see all these pictures from people I don't know yet. But great portrait. Love this. I love the color toning on this. It's all warm and soft.
Looks a little muted, which I like because you don't want your image looking like Skittles were melted all over it. So
no, right.
Yep, looks good.
Yeah, and the tones match really good with their hair color too, so that's really good. Then our buddy Rick Kefgen here. I know this spot, Little Stable Point, and I'm gonna just go out on a limb and say Rick Kefgen was shooting in live composite mode on his Olympus OMD. That's the way to get these long exposure star trail shots the easiest. So that's awesome. And last but not least, from my girl Shelly, this is her newest addition to her family, Penny. And I think Shelly, I don't know if she was using
short for Pennywise,
right? Pennywise, Penny. I don't even know that saying. I know that there's something to that. But so I know Shelly's shooting the Nikon Z6, and she's got an 85-1.8 and a 35-1.8. And I don't know which lens she was using for this, but I love those crushed backgrounds and how sharp the eyes are in this photo. God, it's freaking cool. Sweet. Jerry is going to spend the next 5 minutes talking. Jamie's mouth is dry.
So, what do we want to talk about here? I was trying to dig up a photo, and I should have did it while you were talking. When we were in Fisher Body, and we had because you brought up the smoke grenades when you guys were shooting Violet or Velvet in there.
Yeah,
and then the shots we got in the washroom with this, where we threw the smoke grenades in the back.
Yeah,
those came out really cool, man.
Yes, I could probably pull one of those up.
I got one on my phone, but I'll have to transfer it over.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to get like outside of what you normally do. I mean, and I know we do more urbex probably than most people do, but it's still not part of our normal everyday, you know what I mean? So here, I can show everybody what you're talking about with that shot.
You got one?
Yeah, I got the one I shot of you.
Okay, cool.
So, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
So that's the shot of Jerry coming out of the washrooms at Fisher Body, and I chucked the smoke grenade or smoke bomb. It's in the background off to the right, I think.
Yeah.
And we let the smoke blow into the room. And we just took turns shooting each other and doing stuff like that. It's a lot of fun, man. You get out with other photographers and you start getting some cool
and start creating. Yeah. I think this year I am going to, remember I was telling you, I want to be more of a creator than a photographer this year.
Yeah.
I want to, cause I've shot everything that I can shoot. I want to create more stuff this year. And, stuff like that right there. That's something you create.
Right.
You know what I mean? That just don't happen on its own.
Mhm.
And I want
Nope.
to do more stuff like that this year.
Nope, I totally get it. Yeah, it's all about kind of staging it and setting it up and shaping it into something. You have a vision in your head and then you make it reality.
Right.
Nope, a lot of fun. All right. I don't know why I'm looking at pictures. I was thinking about pulling some more pictures up to share, but we have a lot of people that listen to this, and that has to be boring as all hell.
Oh, for sure.
So something else though to talk about really quick is 2021. So we talked about 2020 this whole show, and that's what everything's been. But for 2021, I just want to dump it out there that we actually have like a legit Mirrorless Minutes website now, which yay for us. I mean, it took us forever to get around to doing something like that. And
There's actually a blog post over there about our Fisher body trip.
that's right. So I'll just kind of take you guys through a quick little look at the website. So just to familiarize yourself with it, it's still growing. I mean, I'm not going to say it's under construction, but things will be added to it over time. So, I've just got our basic landing page. We've got a section where you can watch the show, the audio podcast as well. So that's just your landing page. Those things are accessible from a top level menu up here as well. So on the audio podcast page, you can just listen to the audio version straight from our website. It just kind of feeds over from SoundCloud is where our show's hosted. And as you can see, the most recent show will always be at the top. And then the next 7 episodes of the show are available right here. And the video podcast works in a similar format. The latest episode will always be right here at the top. And I'll just back out of that. And then if you want to just kind of click through to go to the Mirrorless Minutes page on YouTube and watch other episodes there. We've got a blog section, just call it articles, but that's kind of what they are for us. So I've got a section for mine. Jerry's got a section for his. There's some navigation tools right here, so you can scroll over to see, some of the other posts that are there. On my end and pretty much on Jerry's end as well, this is content that we had that existed on our previous websites, but we've moved it over here because there are probably a fair amount of people who don't swing over to our websites or didn't know that this content existed. So we put it over here on the Mirrorless Minutes website. I've got a workshop section that is something that we'll talk about here after I show you the tour of the website, of course. And I highly encourage people to just sign up over here just so you can get notified when we're going to be announcing workshops and meetups. It won't always be paid events. I like to try to do free meetups. We did a few of those last year towards the latter half of the year and plan on doing stuff like that in 2021 as well. And then, just put just some images from past workshops will always kind of show up here. And that's fun. Then we've got a for sale section. Right now, currently, it's just populated with presets that I sell that were on my previous website. And then, I just call it hardware for sale. It could cover anything from camera bags, which if you see me on Facebook the other day post, I've got quite a few bags that I need to sell. And I just put a couple of those up on the site today for sale. And then, of course, we've got an About Us section where you can kind of get to know a little bit about Jerry and I, who we are, what we've done and what we do, and just, a little bit of samples of our photos. So just wanted to throw that out there and mention that. And again, I said we'll be adding some stuff to it. Jerry and I are talking about setting up a section where we can kind of have engagement with you guys. It's hosted through Squarespace, which makes everything easy. It doesn't necessarily make it more functional like if I had been running a WordPress site. So I can't really put a dedicated forum section, but I think we can manipulate the blog pages and use those as a forum section.
Yeah, I'm sure we can figure something out, get people active.
Yep. I think we'd like to just engage people in some conversations away from places like Facebook where it can get toxic really quick.
Yep.
So we'd, again, just encourage you to visit the page every once in a while, or, we'll post if we have a new conversation going over there that we think people might be interested in.
Right.
So Bob asked what we created it with. That was with Squarespace.
Squarespace.
Yep. 2021. So
2021.
I currently am in the development stage of a Glacier National Park workshop in August. I've already started the initial, what I would call like fact finding part of it, where I'm looking at lodging, what airport you're going to fly into conveniently, the most convenient airport, starting the investigation into dining and lodging options. The trick with this is that COVID makes everything unknown. I really wanted to do a workshop where lodging was included and rent like a massive Airbnb where everyone got their own room.
Yep.
And we had a common area where we could sit down and do post-processing and things like that. So it's making the planning difficult, but I'm going to try to plan it out both ways in hopes that COVID is gone by next August. And if that's the case, then that's what I'm going to do. So this will be an all-inclusive. You'll just have to fly in and get yourself to the Airbnb to meet up. If not, then it's going to be something where I'll book a block of rooms and you'll just get a better deal if you stay there, and we'll just kind of go from there. But keep your eyes and ears open. The goal is to have that listed on the Mirrorless Minutes website in the workshop section. And again, that'll be in August of 2021 at Glacier National Park. And still need to sit down and plan out a couple more. The goal is to have what I would consider 3, I call them big workshops because they're kind of a big deal and big in the planning process and big in the travel and logistics. So, and then, a handful of, free meetups and photo walks and things like that. So
Right.
Those are some things to look forward to in 2021 that I can think of. What about you, Jerry? Anything that you've got your heart and hopes set on for 2021 if COVID goes away?
Yeah, man. I just want to do more traveling, like we said, and hopefully I can. My goal is to create some YouTube content this year.
Yeah.
And
then would
get
that
that
be
going and put some traveling on top of that, and
Yep.
whatever workshops we put together or whatever. And
yeah.
The
YouTube content you want to do? Do you want to do like entertainment or education or everything?
Yeah, a little bit of everything, man. You
Yeah.
know, just some behind the scenes, some education.
Nice.
Just show you guys what I do.
Sweet. So I am trying to answer someone's question here really quick. So if you want to talk about anything else, Jerry, you can jump right in.
So how many people we got in here? Is there people in here still?
Yeah, we currently are at 19 people.
Really nice.
19 people live. People are falling out. I think they're going to do their actual party. So right, Steve wants to know if we have a link to the website. Mirrorlessminutes.com is the best way to do that. So I was trying to give the exact number. Hold on, let me find something here. I'm trying to find something in a forum for one of the questions.
What question is that?
It is hold on. There we go. I'm finding it now. Boom. It'll just take me a second. I just have to wait for this thing to load up. This page is loading slow. There we go. There we go. So now I just have to hit Control or Command F to find.
So how early do you plan on start making things happen? Like start moving around the country.
Oh man, I'm gonna say May is when things really take off.
May.
Yep. All right, so I will answer this question here. Hold on. Boop. So I was asked, am I on the Bronco list? And I'm going to share this. So you can see what's highlighted here. McDonald photo. That's me. I am number 868 on the reservation list for a Bronco. Yay. Out of, I think that currently the reservations are at almost 250,000 people.
Wow.
And I'm 868. So I am definitely getting one this year. There's a lot of fear that some people that are further out on the list probably aren't going to get one until 2022. So
yeah, it's a lot of people on that list.
Yeah, a lot of people will back out because there's no commitment. You get on there, it costs $100 to reserve one, but it's refundable. So if you back out, they'll give you back your $100. So there's probably a big chunk of people that'll get tired of waiting or whatever. So
right.
I'm waiting. I'm committed. And if you're curious, Dave, the one I'm looking at is the Badlands edition. And that's why I want to go to the Badlands. I'm going to drive it to the Badlands. I'm going to camp out with it, and I'm going to do a photo shoot with it.
I want in on that trip.
Yeah. I've never been there. It'll be a fun trip for sure.
Badlands is dope, man.
All right. Let's see. Any other questions? Thank you, Seth, for sharing that. Mirrorlessminutes.com. And Mike has to go. Merry New Year to you and Happy Christmas, or Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, all the things. And Rick says Happy New Year to Mike. And Bob, being a smart ass, says, did you hear they're only making 867 next year? It's only because I'm 868.
There you go.
Shelly called shotgun on the trip to the Badlands.
That's all right. I'll ride in the back. I don't give a shit.
Yep. It'll be fun. It'll be a sick trip for sure.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, I guess we can wrap tonight's show up. Just want to thank everybody that stopped in tonight. We had a good crowd. It's always fun to get some interaction with you guys.
For sure.
And like I said, just swing over to the Mirrorless Minutes website and go over to the workshops page and sign up on that mailing list. We're not going to spam. I don't have time to write spam emails. So you're not going to get junk. You're only going to get notified if
something's going on.
If something's going on, if we have a workshop or a meetup going on. And, of course, I'm not going to sell your email address to a third party or nothing crazy like that. So you're safe with us. You know us and you can trust us.
Unless they offer us a lot of money. Then we might think about it.
Yeah. I mean, come on, it's money. But until the next show, you guys take care. Have a happy new year. Be safe.
That's right.
Don't drink more than me. And we look forward to seeing you guys in 2 weeks.
That's right.
Take care.
Say peace.
Oh, hold on.
Wait, what you got?